Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the fundamentals of handicapping. So the purpose of the World Handicap System is to make it easier to obtain, obviously, to essentially be able to play anywhere around the world and play recreational. So the biggest thing right here is that you can play anywhere around the world. Obviously, we're not all world travelers, so it's not terribly important to most of us. But it is an easier barrier to cross when it comes to developing that handicap index. Now, these are some key definitions that are new, and a lot of what you're going to see is fairly similar to what we've done in the past. It's just got some adjustments through the way. So, a low handicap index is the lowest handicap index achieved by a player within the last 12 months. So in the past, it was tournament scores could be up to a year from that revision, and then it was the 20 scores within your record. So now it's all within the last 12 months, and there are some uses for that low handicap index. There are hard and soft caps, which essentially is a reduction or limit on the increase of a player's handicap index over a rolling 12-month period measured against the player's low handicap index within that time period. So that's the hard and soft cap. Now, playing conditions calculation, it's a procedure used to evaluate if course and or weather conditions of that day deviate from normal playing conditions to the extent that they have significant impact on a player's performance. This is actually something that came from Golf Australia. They've been doing this for a number of years, and it works, and there'll obviously be more details on that as we get a little further. So exceptional score reductions, this is for all scores. A score differential which is at least 7 strokes better than the player's handicap index at the time the round was played. So this takes the place of a tournament score. All right? This affects all scores, not just tournament scores. And realize that tournament scores were somewhat arbitrary as to when they were applied and when they weren't applied, depending upon what the handicap committee or whoever determined what those tournament scores would be decided. So now we have more continuity. Net double bogey. This is the max score now. So instead of taking an 8 or 9 or whatever the case may be, now it's par of the hole plus any pops you might have gotten, and then add 2 strokes. So net double bogey. And then clearly we need to have a definition for net par now, as that's the par plus any pops you would essentially have.
No two golf courses play the same. A score of 87 on a difficult course might be a better performance than a score of 85 on an easy one. It's not just courses that differ. Each player will perform differently, even on the same course. The scratch player, a golfer with a 0 handicap index, will have a different experience from the bogey player, a golfer with a handicap index of around 20 to 24. Playing a round of golf on the same course at the same time in normal conditions, the bogey player will find more challenges with distance, accuracy, and dealing with obstacles. Course ratings and slope ratings allow the handicap system to reflect this, as part of the conversion of a player's handicap index into a playing handicap, so that golfers of differing abilities can have a fair and enjoyable game. Course ratings reflect the playing difficulty under normal conditions for the scratch player. Slope ratings represent the difference in playing difficulty for all players compared to the scratch player. Being a fundamental part of the handicap system, course ratings are carried out methodically by qualified teams, trained by authorized associations. Ratings are based on normal course and weather conditions, with each hole being evaluated for effective playing length and obstacles. The effective length includes factors such as elevation, roll, wind, and altitude. Obstacles include factors such as trees, fairway width, penalty areas, recoverability from rough, and green size. All these factors are assessed separately for both the scratch and bogey player. Once the evaluation process has been completed, the course rating and slope rating is calculated for each set of tees. When it comes to playing a round of golf, course ratings and slope ratings should normally be available on a lookup chart or through an app, which can be used to determine your handicap and how many strokes you'll receive. In bringing together a course rating system that is already in use in many parts of the world, with a consistent method of calculating handicaps. The World Handicap System provides a handicap index which is truly portable, whoever you are, whatever your ability, and wherever you are playing in the world, enabling you to match your skills against other players of differing abilities and making the game even more enjoyable.
The important thing to take away from this is that the course rating is essentially the foundation of all net golf. And we spend a lot of resources getting those people trained. The course rating system that we currently use here in the United States is what's being implemented throughout the world. So while we're going to have some changes for definitions and some other factors within the course rating system, it's essentially going to remain the same. Obviously, they talked about the difference between the scratch player and the bogey player. And the course rating, if you really want to think about it, it's actually easier to understand it as the scratch rating. So that's what the scratch golfer is going to have. All right? And if you're going to judge how difficult a golf course is, this is where you judge how difficult it is. It's not the slope. All right? The slope is the difference between what a scratch golfer and a bogey golfer is going to be like. And so consequently, you never see a bogey rating because it would be a third data point that you essentially don't need for day-to-day golf. And if you look at it from this factor, this is essentially a rise over run calculation. And these are essentially our captains down here on the bottom. And we have about 30 committed volunteers with 4 captains of each gender that essentially lead our rating teams. And we rate between 6 and 8 golf courses per year. Our responsibility is doing essentially every golf course within a 10-year cycle, or if there's significant changes. And then essentially these are the rating forms that these raters fill out. Some of these are included. There's obviously a lot more adjustments and calculations involved